All are welcome here at Reverend Christian Sorensen's weekly Joyous Series podcast here at www.joyouspodcast.com. Want to let you know again, as a reminder, that January 12th, 2016 is the start of the Foundation of the Science of Mind class with Dr. Christian Sorensen. And for the first time, you can take the course live online. Visit www.seasidecenter.org/education to find out more. And of course, you can always join us in Encinitas, California sometime, where great music, a spirited message, and a joyful, loving community always await you. Today's message was recorded December 27th, 2015. It's the year-end message entitled, Let It Be Known.
Feel the joy, feel the peace, and the comfort of home, 'cause all are welcome here. Yes, all are welcome
This morning's message, Let Be Known. And so what I put in your Sunday program, and you don't have an Inside Seaside because I just gave Marv the week off and our stuffers, but I did put this in there along with our educational program, is my vision and intention for my life in 2016. I haven't done this for many years. Probably not since I put out snail mail, because what I'd like you to do is take this home and think about it. I want you to meditate on it, vision on it, pray on it, and bring it back next week in a self-addressed, sealed, stamped envelope. Self-addressed so I can mail it back to you, sealed so you know I don't read it, and stamped so I don't have to pay for it. And in the Spiritual Support Center, you'll see a box on the ground that says Goals for 2016. I invite you to put that letter in there, and what we'll do is we'll pray over that all week for the next 50 weeks or so. And in December, if I haven't lost the box by then, we'll go ahead and mail that back to you. And you'll just be surprised. So I want you to write this to yourself as this is my life on December of 2016. Go for it. Be nice with it. Be wonderful to yourself. Say some good things. Nobody's going to read it. We're just going to add our good juju to it, and you'll be blessed. So go for it. Expand your thinking and possibility, because as Gary was saying, blessings, they're yours, but you've got to be willing to let it be known. I am up for it. Count me in. Blessings are coming my way. Because what happens is if you don't use your mind, your consciousness and awareness, what happens is the media does, because there is a preferential feeding from the media into our minds, and it tends to be 24 hours a day, 7 days a week of kind of negative stuff, if you haven't noticed. If you take a look at those headlines, they are just and the images, in the videos, there's a lot of good things going on, but the majority of which is heavy, just downer kind of stuff. And this is what is being fed to us. And what I want us to know is life is better than you think. The future is better than you can even imagine. How does that sound? There you go. And I say that with awareness that there's some difficulties, some biggies that are going on our planet. Like fresh air, climate change, species extinction, shortage of, food, water, energy, and all those things. And with that said, you're going to leave here today, I trust, with a sense believing that the future is better than you can imagine. Because what is going on right now is profoundly good upon our planet. You take a look in the last 100 years, and the infant mortality rate has shrunk tremendously. Our living expectancy has doubled. The literacy rate has gone from 25% to 80%. There is so much good that is going on the planet right now, and I'm the one who's got to begin to know that my future is better than I think, and that I've got to let it be known. I don't need to be fed by these negative images when there is so much good that is going on this planet. There's research put out, the paper and the book by Steve Pinker, who says and shows that the war going on our planet right now is the least amount of warring between nations and people in our history. and uses it as a documentation. I mean, if you stop to think, World War I, 15 million people were killed in those few years. World War II, how many people were killed? And I'll assure you, it is nasty being in the midst of the war, but they're saying that there's less that's actually happening right now than ever. But we don't get to see it like that. What I want us to know is begin to claim and proclaim and announce the good, which is why I gave you this paper. I want you to write it down for yourself, because this is the year that those blessings Gary was singing about are going to happen. But you have got to be able to be willing to dream it. And I get the Eastern philosophy say no desiring, no expectations. And I understand the attachment you don't want to have to outcome. But the individuals who really only can live like that do live on mountaintops somewhere in the Himalayas where that's okay. We're living in a world where dreams and visions and goals and declarations are like the Red Bull of our being. It's like gets us all jacked up and good to go to make it happen within our life. And it's okay to have them. Because if you're afraid to failure, you end up summing up your life with, I wish I would have, I could have, should have, might have. That's not very fun. Success comes from a willingness to meet every challenge that comes your way. Not just the challenges you like. I can deal with this one, just I don't want to deal with this one. No, any of them that come our way, because what I've noticed is anyone can handle a bad day, a rough cycle, a swing through the economy, if they believe that there is greater good on the other side. They know that, I'm going to come through this battle with my body or with the medical world or my finances or my relationship or my business proposal. If the dream I have is around the other side of it, and I'm going to let it be known. I'm going to write it down. I'm going to decree a thing, and it shall be established unto me, is how it's been written. But you got to be willing to do that because you have what it takes. You do. You're the spiritual stuff, if you haven't noticed. That's why I keep saying meditate, pray, all that kind of stuff. So you get to know it. It's like I saw this ad. It was for DNA testing. And the ad said, "Who's your daddy?" See, we have this bloodline. We have this genetic structure. And, it's like no wonder I turned out to be a minister. Both my parents were ministers. There are these couple quarterbacks in football right now. They're phenomenal. Eli Manning and Peyton Manning. It's no surprise they came from the lineage of Archie Manning, Pro Bowler, quarterback for the Saints. And so what I want you to race, we're in a racing town, horses, that kind of, they breed horses, those breeders, they study the bloodline. They pay big bucks for the studying with the stallions that come from a pedigree that goes 50 years back. They measure the length of their legs and their strides and they put it all together. And when that little colt is born and its legs are wobbling and it is ugly looking and looks like any other colt or cute or, they don't care what it looks like in that moment. They don't care what color it is. They don't care how it looks. What they know is what's in its blood. They know what's in its DNA. They know what it's got inside. And what I know about you is your DNA. I know who your father is. Your father, mother, God is the truth of your being. You have this spiritual DNA that can allow these blessings to be the truth of your life in 2016. It can be the truth in this world in which we live, but you're the one who's got to let it be known and not buy in the preferential feeding of the media that says the doom and gloom and terrible the world is going to who knows where. Well, I know because I am willing to let it be known that you are of that spiritual heritage, that your ancestors parted the Red Sea. That's what's in your DNA. Your ancestor was a shepherd who took on a giant and became a king. It is in your DNA, the creative genius from the Renaissance. That's what is coursing through your blood and your being and your essence. That is who you are. That is the truth of your being. And this life, it's here for you. Life isn't happening to you. Life is for you. You got that? A few of you are okay. All right. Let me just put it this way. The pharaohs and all their riches, you got a lot better than they ever had it. I mean, couldn't even imagine jumping on a big old cushioned seat and flying through the sky and going across the ocean. They got to go months and hope they live on an ocean voyage. For a few $100, you're in Hawaii. Aloha. Man, that's amazing. Yeah, $200 million to produce a movie for a couple hours. They can't even fathom that. And for $9, you got Netflix and you can watch them all night long. You're living in a real good time if you haven't noticed. We've even raised our concept of poverty in this country. That poverty line, 95% of the people in our country who are in poverty still have electricity, water, toilets, and a refrigerator, and 88% of them have cell phones. That's still poverty, okay? That's far ahead of where those pharaohs ever were. I want you to know life is good, and it's getting better, and the future is better than you could even begin to imagine, but you've got to know it. And what's making it so is not just because I'm saying so. I wish. But that's the power of my word. I'm letting it be known. It's just the evolution. It is the technology. It is the expansion in an exponential kind of way. And what I mean by that is we live in an abundant universe. And it's really about accessibility. Okay? So let's say you've got this huge tree of fruit. Right? A peach tree. I like peaches. Big, enormous peach tree. And so you and people, they pick all the peaches they can reach. They got all the peaches, and all the peaches are gone and where you can reach them. You're done. That's it. Until someone comes up with a new piece of technology. It's called a ladder. And they take the ladder, and it opens up a whole new realm of abundance that is there. It is about accessibility that makes the difference. We're seeing that happen with solar, right? We've been struggling with the energy, and all of a sudden we're moving to this renewable kind of expression. People would spend hours earning enough money so they could have power and electricity in their life. And now with solar, you can have a kilowatt instead of whatever we pay. I don't know, because now it's 6 cents a kilowatt. It's all of a sudden, and in 90 minutes, the sun, I don't know these words they use to count kilowatts. I've never heard of them. They're big. But in 90 minutes, there is enough for this whole planet for a year to use. There is not a shortage of power. We are living in abundance. It's a means of accessibility. And what I want us to understand is things change. And if you're caught up in saying what's changing is horrible, you are going to be left behind. I'll tell you what, these automatic cars that they're working on, we see it all over now. Who's funding a great deal of that is the trucking industry. It's going to put truckers out of business. They say 3.5 million truckers are going to be out of a business. If you're a trucker, that's extremely bad news. But that is the technology. It moves things forward. All of a sudden, for the cost of a truck, they now have somebody working instead of 8 hours for 24 hours and no lawsuits and things like that. Things are progressing, and you can say it's terrible, or you can retool. You can say, what? I'm moving into a new age. Farming, 80% of people's time in America was spent farming so they could eat. Now it's less than 7% we work. That is what I mean, a new ladder that is moving up. And I'm sharing these stories because I want us to realize some of these stories I shared at the beginning that come from news media we think is horrible. I don't think they're insurmountable anymore because we are going to get there. There you go. I want you to get that we are progressing upon this planet. We are not staying still. But if you continue to be inundated by the negative press as opposed to opening your eyes, that these new technologies, I remember it was 76 or the Rockefellers or Doheny, that was the gas, they made it rich. Who would ever hit that again? And then we saw the technology of Microsoft and Apple, and these guys hit levels that are just staggering. But we are at the beginning of new industries that were starting, the past ones were starting in the garage. What I'm trying to get is our future is better if you're willing to let it be known that, I'm on board. Things are moving forward upon this planet, and there are answers that are emerging. This 3D printing, I saw it last week at Barnes & Noble. I was out there buying books, and I watched this printer just create it was a plastic Darth Vader, just before my eyes. I think, well, isn't that kind of cool, I don't know. I used to get those at Disneyland when they would melt wax into forms. But you know what is amazing about these 3D printers is that they are capable of doing any schematic that is put in there, any blueprint that is put in. And it takes 200 different kinds of liquids, whether it is a metal, whether it is material, whether it is the cellular level, whether it is titanium, whether it's chocolate. You know, I like that one. But you program in the schematic, and it begins to take on the shape of that. Now, that's nice. Where am I going to get these images? Yeah. You just download them from the cloud. All the blueprints are right there. So if you have a cell phone, and I got to tell you, I've seen pictures of the Maasai warriors on the plains of Africa with their cell phone. And a regular cell phone, as you heard, will give this Maasai warrior in the plains of Africa access to as much information as President Reagan had. And if he has a smartphone, he has access to as much information as President Clinton had. That's how exponentially things grow and they begin to leap to new levels. Here he is, all of a sudden, I don't know, he needs a tool, or he needs a plow, or he needs a tractor, or some, he downloads that image into the 3D printers, and all of a sudden, it is made right there. Do you get how phenomenal that is? All of a sudden, we have our astronauts out at the International Space Station. They don't need to take supplies up there anymore. All they do is they download from their cloud or wherever they got the information, and they can make the part that is needed up there in space. This is the kind of technology that is emerging, that is unfolding, and it goes from the side of making a little plastic Darth Vader to China has warehouses making houses with these. They're little factories, basically, that are created from the schematic, producing 10 houses a day. Phenomenal stuff that is going on upon our planet. The growing vertically all of a sudden can feed the masses of humanity that are upon this planet. This nanotechnology is just the corrections that can be done within the body because it is so small. It can now, there was a movie when I was a kid, Voyage to what was it? You guys ever see that? I don't know. They put a little submarine in somebody's body, but it's like the same thing. That it's actually, that's it. Fantastic Voyage. Here, give that lady the prize. Sandra, welcome back. So it's truly exciting. I mean, water. You know, we've got water wars going on, right? I mean, that's what they're talking about. That's what the next war is going to be fought over, and it's. You know, once again, it's not because there's a shortage of water. You ever see an image from space? We're a water planet. There's 70% of this planet that's water, 25% more of the frozen glaciers, and only a few percent that's fresh water. And people say, isn't this terrible? But I'll tell you what is happening. If you have access to the energy, which is now we have, then all of a sudden you can then convert salt water into fresh water. No problem. We're doing it here in Carlsbad right now. 50 million gallons a day we're pumping back into Lake Hodges. All of a sudden from Saudi Arabia to Africa, we can then transform the salt into drinking water. Or the guy who invented the Segway, you know, that little wheel thing going around? He invented something along with Coca-Cola called Slingshot. I don't know if you heard about Slingshot, but Coca-Cola has committed to putting it in 206 countries where the people are dying because of water. Over 3 million people a year die of water challenges. It's the size of this speaker, or like a refrigerator in a dorm room. And it will take water vapors out of the air. It will take horrible infected water and distill it and make it drinkable to the tune of 1,000 liters a day at 2 cents a liter. There's answers that are here. I just shared with you answers to our energy crisis, our water crisis. You know, you want to eliminate the war and overpopulation. It's about education. It's about access to information. And what is happening is an expansion in that field of information that's being delivered. In 2000, there was maybe 500 million people on the internet, they say. By 2010, there was over 2 billion people. And they say by 2022, there should be over 5 billion people on the internet. You know what's exciting about that? Is that exponentially, These are 3 billion more minds that are now available to play the games, to come up with the answers, to answer the questions that are there. You know, a lot of the answers that are coming forth this day in this age are coming from small groups who are passionate about an idea. You know, not the brilliant minds at MIT or the huge conglomerates that are too big to move, but a group of people, as you saw, they're coming out of garages, coming out of dorm rooms, that all of a sudden have come together and are being moved by a passion that is inside of them. And there's so much information exponentially available that they're now able to bring forth new ideas. There's a game out there on the internet that's folding right now. Folding, I didn't know what, I had to look this up. They're folding proteins. Why in the world would anybody want to fold a protein? It has to do with amino acids, and there's like so many different ones, but if they line up right, you can heal things like HIV. You know, so I guess, but it's a game. And they're coming up with answers to medical conditions that have been unable to be eradicated from the human species. And the leader of this folding game doesn't come from MIT, not a brilliant scientist, but rather she is a factory worker in the UK who comes home at night and plays this game and is considered the best folder of proteins on the planet. See, these are one of the new billion or 3 billion minds that are coming to play these games that are available. This is how we move exponentially from where we are. When I'm talking exponential, linear is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Exponential is 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32. So let's say if you were to take 30 linear steps, you'd go about 30 meters or 30 yards. Follow me? You take 30 exponential steps, they say you would go about 1 billion meters or 26 times around the planet. That's what we're talking about here. This is why the future is better than we think. We have always, as a species, stepped up to what was necessary in our life and in our world. You know, Napoleon Hill said, what the mind of man can conceive, it can achieve. But what I'm saying is you got to let it be known. You got to be willing to be bold enough to go against the preferential feeding of the media that says this is terrible, isn't it sad? And recognize this is a fabulous time in which we live. There are more minds coming on board to playing with us, more possibilities than ever before that are in store, that they can pull the smog out of the air, they can do the water, they can feed us. What they need are individuals that are able to walk with a sense of integrity with the new technology. I mean, in the palm of your hand, you got like your outboard memory. How many? I won't ask you. But you know, most people have like their cell phone that has their memory and all their information. And what they were predicting is people are going to go from this outboard carrying of a cell phone to wearables. And we're starting to see that. People are starting to wear them. And I'm afraid to share with you what the next step is prophesized, is implants. And once you start implanting, I'm not even talking about that today. But, you know, it's valuable to open your eyes and realize these things are going on. And what it needs is your spiritual consciousness, is your spiritual understanding that is brought to the table here. You know, His Holiness, the Dalai Lama, was meeting with a group in San Francisco a few years back in April, which is a high holidays for, you know, Christianity, with Easter, Judaism, you know, with Passover for the Muslims, with Maulid an-Nabi, which is the birth of Muhammad. And 1,000 people came together, and His Holiness invited, maybe 25 of them into a private room, the leaders of the different religions, and they were talking, and they got into arguing and fighting and their positioning. His Holiness finally raised his hand. People didn't even see him at first. He just quietly... And when they realized, you know, the Dalai Lama was raising his hand, they were like embarrassed. Sorry, you called us together. You're the host, and we're not even letting you talk. And he said, well, you know, one thing I think we all can agree on, and that is really the purpose of every religion. And it's what all of our people want and what we're representing. And they like got quiet. Okay. Well, they all want happiness, right? I mean, isn't that really the purpose of all of these religions? Is to bring about a sense of happiness in our life. And if you're not doing that, then you're kind of missing the mark of what it is you're all about. It's happiness. What is it that's bringing you happiness in your life? Now, yours may be different than yours, and that's the diversity, and that's the beauty, and you want to be able to match, and just so you're not harmful, and all those things. There during the holidays, Christmas, holiday shopping There was a couple in the mall, and I know they got split up. The place was crowded and packed, and the wife couldn't find her husband, so she pulled out her cell phone and called her and said, "Where are you? Where are you? We got so much to do." And he said, "Remember, sweetheart, that jewelry shop that we went into about 10 years ago? And you saw that beautiful diamond necklace that you just adored, and it was just too expensive for us," I said at that time, "but maybe someday." And so tears started pouring down her eyes, and she started to choke up a little bit. And she said, yeah. I said, "Well, I'm in that bar right next to it." You know, one person's happiness may not be another person's happiness. It's our consciousness, and we will be playing at different levels in our life. And on this planet, there's people playing at different levels. And it's like different classrooms. And just because you're vibrating at a particular meme or a particular level, it doesn't mean the others don't exist. Just because you are buying into what is being fed to you by the media outlets doesn't mean these other possibilities aren't going on. It doesn't mean that the future isn't better than what you can even begin to imagine. Because it is. And it's going on right now. And you can step to that new frequency of expression, or you can hold on to where it was you were trying so hard. Don Miguel Luis said, people don't see what it is they are to do because they're so focused on trying to be, trying to be that as opposed to being that in their life and their world. You are already a masterful manifester. You have been given technology or the ladder to go to the next rung and access the abundance that is there. Like I said, there isn't scarcity. The challenge is accessibility. The peaches were there. The water is here. The energy is here. The answers are here. We're pulling it out of the ozone. We can do that right now. The driving, these technologies are available. It's the consciousness that you bring to it, because Ernest Holmes, the founder of religious science, says, all has been given to all. Right? Like you don't get some and you get some. No, you get all of it and you get all of it. And it's ours to bring in. It is ours to believe. It becomes ours, as he says, to receive the allness of spirit that has been given already. You have been given the ability. You are already a masterful manifester. You have what it takes, but you have got to move into that, what I would like to say, the spiritual kingdom, the 91st Psalm, to be able to reside in the place of the Most High. To be able to reside in a place where there is the power and the protection and all that is necessary for you to do that for which you have come here to do. And when I talk about that spiritual place of the Most High, I'm talking about a spiritual consciousness, a spiritual wisdom, a spiritual power, a praying without ceasing, an absolute connectedness with Source. And so that some can fall to your right and thousands to your left and 10,000 over here, and you are in the fortress, you are in the protection, you are in that all-embracing grace, not because there aren't some wars going on and there aren't some downshifts, but because you are able to see what is truly there beyond this ebb or this cycle that is life. What this world needs are more individuals who are able to believe in the impossible, more individuals who are able to say, you know what, I'm willing to let it be known we are living in a good time, or as Gary was saying, we are living in a blessed time, and that the answers are already available, seeking expression. And when these individuals are willing to come together and do that for which they have come to this world to do, whether it is in a garage, whether it is in a dorm, whether it is in a factory, whether it is in MIT, whether it is in a university or in a big conglomerate, the Spirit is seeking to express itself because all has been given to all, and it is up to you to let it be known for which you have come to do. God bless you in 2016 as we do this together. I love you.
you to this place. You cry for mercy and you long for grace. Feel the love, feel the light. Won't you come in from the cold? 'Cause all are welcome here. Feel the joy, feel the peace, and the comfort of home. 'Cause all are welcome here. Yes, all are welcome here. Here.
All Are Welcome Here, from the album Path of Light, was co-written by Peggy Lebo and Reverend Christian Sorensen. It's available at www.peggylebo.com.